Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, those in the hearing this in the audience. Today is Wednesday, June 15th, 2016. This is the Housing Committee. We are in room 1060 of City Hall, and we are going to proceed. I expect us to have quorum shortly, but we will go forward at this moment with the item number one. Sir?
Item number one is an HCID report relative to a grant award in the amount of $1.5 million from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Housing Opportunities for Persons with HIV/AIDS Permanent Supportive Housing Program.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Lisa Johnson-Smith, CAO's office. The CAO recommends that the council and the mayor accept the 3-year, $1.5 million HUD renewal grant to continue the HAPWA Permanent Housing Supportive Program for 3 years, commencing retroactively on April 1st, 2016 through March 31st, 2019. Also execute a sole source contract with HACLA for the same time period in the amount of $1.46 million, which would be allocated to HACLA. $40,950 would be allocated to HCID for grant administration. The city concurs with the sole source contract. There is no impact to the general fund. If you have any questions, we're available.
Okay. We have no public comment cards, correct?
No, sir.
So pending quorum, can we go ahead and approve the CAO report?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, sir? No? We're good. Thank you. Thank you. Item number two.
Item number two is an HCID report relative to amending the agreement with the HACLA Authority for the provision of professional environmental services by HCID.
Sir.
Let's hear from the department. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, council members. The item before you has to do with...
Want to identify yourself?
Oh, my name is Robert Manford, and I'm with HCID. I manage the land use and planning. The item before you has to do with an existing agreement between HACLA and HCID, where staff from HCID prepares environmental services for HACLA. HCID respectfully requests that you amend the existing contract in terms of extending the timeline and also making minor changes to the scope of services.
Okay. I trust that the services were ongoing in the interim?
That's correct.
Okay. And this expired last June. We're going to extend this contract and expand scope of services to include also projects like the Jordan Downs.
That's correct, yes.
So this will be part of all the other efforts around Jordan Downs. Okay.
Those were unanticipated.
Yes. Sir? Senator? We're joined by Mr. Marquise Harris Dawson. Any questions? Okay. Motion to approve the HCID report?
So move.
So moved. We approve the first item. You concur? Item number two. Great.
Okay, item three is a HACLA report relative to waiving payment in lieu of taxes in the amount of $2.8 million.
Mr. Brown, pleasure to see you.
Hi, Camilla Fong from the CAO's office. The Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles requests authority from the City of Los Angeles to waive payment in lieu of taxes in the amount of $2.82 million to provide summer jobs at public housing sites. Also to provide water-wise landscaping improvement at 3 HACLA sites, renovation of a former storage facility at Imperial Courts, upgrading of 11 computer centers, and replacement and installation of new playground equipment at HACLA sites.
Okay. Any questions?
You did just one
Yes.
question. Talk a little bit about the summer youth program and how this is going to run. who's going to involve and how to?
Yeah, so my name is Eric Brown with Hackler. And so what we asked for is $1 million to provide roughly 530 to 600 jobs. And what we do is a lot of training and preparing the youth, mostly in the developments. And we partner with a lot of the business owners around to create the jobs for them. We try to spread out equitably throughout all of our developments. So every development that we have, all 14, we will be providing jobs for those youth.
So this $1 million is split between these 14 sites?
Yes,
roughly?
absolutely.
And the job period, the work period is June to August or July?
Yeah, it usually goes right up to Labor Day, but we're actually providing jobs year-round for the youth, and these are a collaboration of not only pilot funds, but county and city funds as well. And this all plays into the whole summer youth job with the mayor's office as well.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to accept the report?
Approve CAO report, please. CAO?
Yes.
report? Thank you.
To approve the CAO report? Objections?
I'll second it.
So be the order. Second by Senator. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, item 4 is an HCID report relative to the selection of handiworker program contractors.
Okay, good. Do public comment first, or?
You have 2 cards, sir.
Yes, okay. Brian Lee, and then Mr. Watkins will have you come up. Mr. Watkins, you want to come up? How are you, sir?
How are you doing?
Let's see.
So you want Brian to go first?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Okay, my name is Brian Lee. I'm actually the director of the City Handiworker Program for WLCC. I am not necessarily speaking against the proposal as it was rewarded. I believe the RFP process, was fair. The one thing that I'm asking you guys to take a look at is, for the benefit of the citizens of LA in each district, that you take a second look at WLCC. We are recommended as a replacement contractor. The primary contractor for the North Valley, South Valley, Central LA, and South LA division maybe possibly stretched pretty thin. In the past, the South LA division was split in 2 different sections, with basically Florence area being the dividing line, okay, where one contractor held north and one did south. So we would ask that you just take a look at that.
Good, thank you. Mr. Watkins, welcome.
Hi. So for the record, Tim Watkins, President and CEO of Watts Labor Community Action Committee. We've been your handiworker contractor for 45 years without interruption, and we've been there through thick and thin. When you had many contractors working that along the way fell out, we had to pick up extra work. When it was very difficult to make a small contract work, we still kept our eye on the ball. We never turned our back on the city, and we feel that in this matter, there's a chance that we're laying off people that in some cases have actually worked for our handiwork project for decades. And as you know, WLCAC makes a habit of hiring people that are hard to employ, and these folks become loyal, well-performing members of our community. We'd hate to see this contract go all in one direction when we've been here, as I said, for 45 years, performing without fail.
I thank you for your service. We appreciate that. I think an amendment will be coming shortly.
Thank you.
But I thank you for your service
Wait a
to our
minute, you
community.
said amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
But I thank you for the years and the decades you and your dad have given to the city.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. We get the report, and then the amendment.
Nick Campbell, the CAO's office. We have before you is the item before you is a request from Housing to execute contracts with 3 contractors to provide free minor home repairs, accessibility improvements, and the installation of safety equipment for qualified homeowners as part of the handiworker program. Additionally, Housing is requesting to negotiate a fixed rate fee and service schedule with each contractor, establish a contractor replacement list, and authority to amend contracts and reallocate funds should any of the contractors be unable to complete their obligations. These contracts will be fully funded by CDBG funds in the program year 42, and there's no impact to the general fund, and I'm available for any questions.
We have an amendment?
Yes, just a couple of questions. First, I see that, thanks for the report, I see that AGPC was awarded the contract for 4 different areas. Any downside in having one organization run 4 areas, especially if they're not located in the southern part of the city?
My name is Courtney Durham. Good afternoon,
Yeah.
council members, ladies, gentlemen.
I mean, it's on the heels of, we just heard the previous provider's been doing so for about 40 years or so. So I'm just curious what the rationale between with the shift and changes now.
One of the challenges that we have had with contractors having such a large area is what's called cash flow with that specific contractor to keep jobs going. The housing department basically processes invoices within 30 days, and sometimes to keep these projects going, it is a burden, financial burden on the contractor. So that's one of the downsides.
They expressed this concern, or they expressed this as an issue?
I beg your pardon?
They expressed it as an issue
Who is
for them?
that?
Contractor.
Yes,
WLCAC specifically in this case.
Historically, we have had that as an issue. And what the way we addressed it is we basically try to process several invoices, more than 2 within a month period, or even shorten the processing time by putting additional staff to get the invoices out.
And you had to do that in no other area of the city, just here in South LA?
No, it's not necessarily South LA. It's with contractors in general that have,
That's common, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilmember, if I may add to that, my name is Helmi Hesrick, Assistant General Manager. Historically, in the Handy Worker Program, we have not had a contractor with more than 2 areas. However, in the RFP process this time, we did not limit the number of areas that a respondent could apply for. And so this is the first time we've had a contract where we've had one contractor in more than more than 2 regions.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. So there's not really a history of that, and the financial hardship around the billing. I guess you're stating that would be exacerbated if you went from, say, 1 area, 2 areas to 4. The cash flow.
It would be a concern in terms of production.
Sure.
Under the new program, contractors would have to deliver about 10% of their entire goals on a monthly basis. For example, if they have 100 units that they have to complete under their contract, they would be required to complete 10 monthly.
Although there should be sufficient funding in the program to deliver the needed units. So assuming that the contractors we've provided are aware of the budget, they should be able to deliver what's being recommended.
Well, this has been an important program, especially in South LA. We get calls all the time. Folks are very pleased and happy with the services being provided. So I'd move, Mr. Chair, the CAO report, recommendation number 4, be amended to award the contract in South LA to WLCAC, as they've been operating before.
That's Council Districts 8, 9, and 15. Do I have a second?
That's correct.
Yep. Second.
Okay.
Second. I just want to thank Mr. Price for bringing forward that amendment. I think it's very, very important. WLCAC has done this work all my life. They painted my
All your life.
painted my grandmama's house at least 3 times that I can remember, probably more. And so I think when we have a situation like this, particularly when I can imagine as one who's responded to RFPs, and you respond to multiple areas. As an organization, you might not intend on winning all of them, right? So I don't imagine there's a question on there that says, what happens if you win each one of these? So I think instead, I think this is smart on both sides, both on including WLCAC, but also sort of gradually growing organizations rather than sort of exponentially increasing their responsibility to the city.
Great.
Move
second. Any objection? Yes, comment?
I just want to ask a question so that for clarification for the department, is the recommendation or the amendment to award the South LA contract in whole to WLCC?
Correct, yes, for districts 1, 8, 9, and 15.
8, 9, and 15.
Correct.
Clear? Motion, second. Any objection? So be the order.
Thank you.
And there is item 4. Is that it? Oh. Okay, so be the order. No other public comment? Motion to adjourn? Wow. Any objections? That's the way we do it, right? Right, Curran?